There's a lot that I can forgive, but there needs to be conversations for reconciliation, and part of that has to be accountability.
Buckle up, because this story is about to take a turn no one saw coming. FBI agents raiding Prince Harry's mansion? That alone is enough to make jaws drop. But the real shocker? What they found inside. This isn't just another royal scandal, it's something much bigger. Secrets buried deep, hidden from the public eye, finally coming to light. And if you thought you knew everything about the royal rebel, think again. Before we even get to the FBI bombshell, we need to rewind. Because this moment, it didn't just happen out of nowhere. It started years ago, when Harry did the unthinkable. He walked away from the royal family. And let's be real, no one expected that to end quietly. Back in 2020, the world was already glued to the chaos unfolding inside Buckingham Palace. Harry and Meghan had enough. The press wouldn't back off. The firm, what the royal family calls itself behind closed doors, wasn't offering support. So they packed their bags and left. Not just for a vacation, not for a temporary break. They left like, we're never coming back left. And when they announced it, pure chaos. The Queen was blindsided. William was furious. The British tabloids had a field day, and the public completely split. Some saw them as victims, breaking free from a toxic system. Others saw them as traitors, turning their backs on the very institution that made them who they were. Either way, one thing was clear. Harry wasn't just stepping down. He was burning bridges. The firm didn't take it lightly. They stripped away security, cut off financial support, and made one thing clear. If you're out, you're out. No more royal protection, no more special treatment. And when the money started running out, that's when the real pressure kicked in. Fast forward to 2021, and Harry and Meghan weren't just sitting in their California mansion enjoying the sun, they were talking to Oprah. And what they said? It blew the lid off the entire royal institution. Meghan dropped the first bombshell. While she was pregnant with Archie, someone in the royal family questioned how dark his skin would be. Yeah, that happened. And it wasn't just some distant cousin making a tasteless joke. This was a senior royal, someone high up. But here's the kicker. They refused to say who. And that only made things worse. The palace went into damage control, releasing a vague statement. Recollections may vary. Translation? We're not denying it, but we're also not admitting anything. But the damage was done. The world saw the monarchy for what it really was, outdated, out of touch, and let's be honest, probably hiding a lot more than just racist comments. Then came the next bombshell. Meghan wasn't just struggling behind closed doors, she was drowning. At one point, she seriously considered ending her own life, and when she asked for help, the royal family shut her down. It wouldn't look good. That's what she was told. Harry wasn't holding back either. He called out his father, Prince Charles, for completely cutting him off. He revealed that William and the rest of the family were trapped in the system, just like he was. But unlike them, he found a way out. And that's when people really started to question everything. If this was just the stuff they were willing to say on TV, what weren't they telling us? What other secrets were locked away inside the palace walls? To understand why Harry was willing to blow everything up, you have to go way back. Before the Megxit drama, before Meghan, before all of it. Harry wasn't just another prince. He was the spare. That's not just some nickname. It's an actual title in royal circles. The heir, the future king, was always William. Harry? He was there just in case. And if you think that didn't mess with his head, think again. From the start, he was treated differently. Not in an obvious, we don't love you kind of way, but in a you don't really matter way. William got the serious training, the lessons on leadership, the weight of the crown on his shoulders. Harry? He was the fun one. The one who wasn't expected to do much except smile, wave, and stay out of trouble. But trouble found him. At 17, he was caught drinking underage and smoking weed. The tabloids went nuts. So what did the royal family do? Sent him to a rehab facility for one day, not to actually get help, just for the optics. A PR stunt, nothing more. Then came 2005, the scandal, the one that still haunts him. He went to a costume party dressed as a Nazi. Yeah, full swastika armband, the whole thing. When the photos leaked, the outrage was immediate. The palace scrambled to clean up the mess, and Harry had to issue a public apology. But the damage was done. No longer just the wild prince. Now he was the disgraced one. For years, he tried to shake that image, joined the army, served in Afghanistan, found real purpose for the first time in his life. But even then, the press wouldn't let up. His relationships were scrutinized, his every move analyzed, and the shadow of Diana's death loomed over everything. Because that's the moment that really changed him. August 31st, 1997. He was 12 years old when he lost his mother. The world watched as he walked behind her coffin, forced to keep it together while millions of people stared. And the worst part? He never even got to grieve properly. The royal family didn't do emotions, they did duty. And Harry? He was expected to just move on, but he never moved on. He blamed the paparazzi for chasing Diana to her death. He blamed the monarchy for not protecting her. And as he got older, that resentment only grew. The same press that destroyed his mother's life was now coming for him and Meghan. And history? It was starting to repeat itself. So he left. But leaving didn't mean escaping. The palace might have cut him off, but the world still wanted a piece of him. The press was still watching. And the more he tried to build a new life, the more the past kept pulling him back in. For years, people thought Harry was just the wild prince, the one who couldn't handle royal life without making a mess of it. The drinking, the partying, the headlines, it all made for a perfect tabloid storm. But here's the thing. He wasn't acting out just for fun. He was searching. For meaning, for purpose, for something that felt real. Being the spare didn't give him that. Neither did the cameras or the palace walls. Then, at 21, he did something no one expected. He joined the British Army. And let's be real. At first, most people thought it was another PR stunt, a way to clean up his image after too many scandals. But for Harry, this wasn't about damage control. It was the first time he actually belonged somewhere. No royal titles, no special treatment. No one treating him like the backup prince. In the military, he wasn't Prince Harry. He was just Harry. And for the first time in his life, that was enough. The army gave him structure, discipline, a reason to wake up in the morning. It stripped away the press, the obligations, the expectations. It didn't matter who his family was or how much money he had to prove himself just like everyone else. And he did. By 2007, he was on the front lines, Afghanistan. This wasn't a royal tour or some photo op with soldiers. He was in an active war zone, serving as a forward air controller, calling in airstrikes. For 10 weeks, he lived like any other soldier, until the press found out. The second his location leaked, it was over. The military had no choice. Keeping him there was a security risk, not just for him, but for everyone around him. Within hours, he was pulled out, and he was furious. For the first time, he had something real, something that made sense. And just like that, the media took it away from him. Once again, his royal name was a liability. But he didn't quit. In 2012, he went back, this time as an Apache helicopter pilot. No leaks, no distractions, just the mission. He flew dozens of combat missions, took real risks, and for 2 years, he was exactly where he wanted to be. No cameras, no tabloids, just a soldier doing his job. But even that couldn't last forever. By 2015, his military career was over. 10 years of service, gone. And just like that, he was back in the world he had tried so hard to leave behind. The press, the royal expectations, the rules that never made sense to him. But this time, something had changed. He had seen what life could be outside of the royal bubble. And now that he was back, he knew one thing. He wasn't going to play by the rules anymore. Then came Meghan. Now let's be honest, royal relationships usually follow a script. Marry a British aristocrat, keep your head down, follow tradition. Meghan? She was none of those things. She was American, an actress, divorced, biracial, independent. She had built her own career, made her own money, and had zero interest in just existing as someone's royal wife. And that was a problem. The moment the press found out about her, they went in, and they didn't hold back. One day they were calling her difficult for having opinions. The next, they were twisting everything she did into a scandal. Holding Harry's hand in public, disrespectful. Closing her own car door, breaking protocol. And the worst part, the royal family did nothing. When Kate Middleton was getting bad press, the palace shut it down. When Prince Andrew was caught in actual scandals, they protected him. But Meghan, they let the media destroy her. And Harry saw it happening in real time. The same playbook that had been used against his mother was now being used against his wife. The relentless attacks, the invasive press, the feeling of being trapped in a system that doesn't care about anything except its own image. Harry wasn't going to let history repeat itself. So he made a choice. He walked away. And we all know what happened next. The bombshell Oprah interview, the shocking revelations, the accusations of racism, neglect, and outright cruelty from within the royal family. And with every word they spoke, they weren't just exposing the firm. They were challenging it. But here's where things take a turn. Because what if that interview was just the beginning? What if there were things they still haven't said? What if the most dangerous secrets, the ones that could really shake the monarchy, are still buried? See, when Harry and Meghan left, the royal family lost control over them. No more palace press office filtering their words. No more carefully crafted PR statements. Just two people with stories to tell, and an audience willing to listen. And that was a problem. Fast forward to 2025, and suddenly Harry isn't just making headlines for his tell-all book or another interview. This time the FBI is involved. At first it was just whispers, rumors of an investigation, then front-page news. The FBI was officially looking into something big, and it had to do with Harry. But here's where it gets really wild. No one was saying why. The British press, silent, the royal family, acting like nothing was happening. But in the US, social media was blowing up. People were asking the same questions over and over again. Was Harry under investigation? Was he a witness to something bigger? Or, and this is where it gets crazy, had he gotten tangled up in something way beyond his control? And then the theories started flying. One, money. Ever since leaving royal life, Harry and Meghan had been making serious money. Netflix, book deals, speaking engagements, and now there were whispers about offshore bank accounts, millions of dollars, unreported transactions, connections to international financial networks. If true, this wasn't just a royal scandal, this was criminal. But the second theory? Way more dangerous. Because some people were saying this wasn't about money at all. This was about classified information. Think about it. Meghan wasn't just any royal wife, she was inside the firm. She had access to high-level discussions, briefings, political connections. And Harry? He grew up with it. He knew things the palace never wanted to get out. Now the FBI was involved. Had sensitive information been leaked? Had Harry, maybe even accidentally, shared something he wasn't supposed to? Was this about national security? Because if that was true, then this wasn't just a royal family crisis. This was something much, much bigger. And here's where things got really suspicious. When the story first broke, two major theories were floating around. One, this was about finances. Millions of dollars in offshore accounts, undisclosed deals, and questionable transactions. If true, this could mean fraud, tax evasion, or something even worse. The second theory? Classified information. If Harry had leaked state secrets knowingly or not, this wasn't just a scandal, it was an international threat. But then a third theory started spreading, and this one, it changed everything. What if this wasn't about money, or even leaked intelligence? What if the FBI investigation was never about catching Harry, but about taking him down? Think about it. Since the day he left the royal family, Harry had been a problem for the monarchy. His Oprah interview exposed the royal family's darkest secrets. His memoir, Spare, dragged his father, his brother, and the entire institution through the mud. His constant attacks on the firm, chipped away at their carefully controlled image, one interview at a time. The monarchy couldn't afford to let him keep talking. And if there's one thing they know how to do, it's protect themselves. So here's the question. Was someone inside the royal family working behind the scenes to set him up? If Harry was found guilty of anything at all, his credibility would be destroyed. His accusations against the royal family? Instantly dismissed. His future in the US? At risk. And let's not forget the bigger picture. If he was charged with a serious crime, he could be deported, sent back to the UK, right into the hands of the very people he had spent years running from. And this is where things got even weirder. Harry and Meghan, normally the first to speak out, went completely silent. No statements, no TV interviews, no social media posts, nothing. For a couple that built their entire brand on telling their truth, their silence was loud, and people noticed. Their supporters said it was smart. If the allegations were serious, the worst thing they could do was speak out too soon. Lawyers were probably telling them to keep quiet, play it safe. But their critics? They saw it differently. If they had nothing to hide, why not clear the air? And then there was Buckingham Palace. In the past, the royal family had always stepped in to protect their own. When Prince Andrew was accused of far worse crimes, they defended him. When Kate Middleton was harassed by the press, they shut it down. But with Harry, nothing. No statements, no damage control, just complete and total silence, which raised an even bigger question. Did the palace already know what was coming? Because let's be real, the royal family always plays the long game. Every move is calculated. Every response is carefully planned. If they weren't defending Harry, maybe it was because they didn't want to. Maybe they saw this as an opportunity, a chance to let him fall without lifting a finger. But while King Charles stayed out of sight, Prince William was doing the exact opposite. Reports started surfacing about emergency meetings inside the palace. Top advisors, lawyers, PR teams, and leading the charge, William, the same brother who had spent years distancing himself from Harry, the same future king who had everything to lose if the monarchy took another hit. So why was he in panic mode? Because if the FBI was investigating Harry, it meant one of two things. Either this was a Sussex problem, something he and Meghan did on their own, or this was something bigger, something that reached into the royal family. And that was William's worst nightmare. Because if Harry had access to classified information, so did he. If Harry knew about secret royal dealings, so did he. If Harry was being accused of leaking something, was there a chance it could lead back to the monarchy itself? This wasn't just about Harry anymore. This was about the entire royal institution. And let's talk about the real problem here. The monarchy had never faced an outside investigation like this before. For centuries, the royal family had operated on their own terms. Their scandals, handled internally, their secrets, buried. But this time they weren't dealing with the British press, or even the UK government. They were dealing with the FBI. And the FBI doesn't investigate without evidence. They had something. They knew something. And whatever it was big enough to put the monarchy at risk. So now the palace had a decision to make. If they cooperated, they risked exposing something they had worked for centuries to keep hidden. If they fought back, they risked looking guilty. Either way, the monarchy was backed into a corner, and with every passing day, the world was waiting for the truth to drop. And what about Meghan? Throughout this entire storm, she was nowhere to be seen. She stayed in California. No public appearances, no comments, nothing. Some people said she was protecting herself, distancing herself from the scandal before it exploded. Others thought she knew exactly what was coming and was staying quiet for a reason. Was she helping Harry fight behind the scenes? Or was she trying to separate herself from the fallout before it was too late? No one knew for sure. But one thing was undeniable. The truth was coming. Because when the FBI steps in, it's never for no reason. They had evidence. They had something that led them straight to Harry's doorstep. And when that something finally comes to light, it won't just shake the royal family. It could destroy it. So now all we can do is wait. Because whether it's money, secrets, or something even worse, the one thing we do know, this story isn't over. And when the truth finally drops, the monarchy might never recover. What do you think is really going on here? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more updates. And don't forget to turn on notifications, because when the next bombshell hits, you won't want to miss it.